1986, Thomas Albrechtsen and his colleagues established the foundation of implant success criteria. Given the clinical conditions at the time, allowing approximately 1.5 millimeters of crestal bone loss in the first year, followed by 0.1 to 0.2 millimeters annually, was considered both rational and visionary. In the era of external hex implants, controlling the micro gap at the implant abutment interface was difficult, often leading to bacterial infiltration. At the same time, the space required for stable soft tissue, known as the biologic width, and its relationship with crestal bone changes were not yet fully understood. Crestal bone changes were considered part of a continuous bone remodeling process and a physiological response to a foreign body. As a result, bone loss was regarded as inevitable, forming the basis of the concept of acceptable bone loss. Over the past 4 decades, our understanding of peri-implant tissue biology has advanced significantly. Berglund and Lindy reported that peri-implant mucosa tends to establish a consistent vertical dimension, and when the initial soft tissue thickness is insufficient, marginal bone resorption may occur during its establishment. Cochrane et al. Demonstrated histologically that biologic width forms around both unloaded and loaded implants. Quironen et al. Described bacterial pumping in the microgap of external connections, while Herman et al. Showed that interface position and microgap movement are closely associated with crestal bone changes. Based on these biological insights, implant design and connection systems have evolved. Lazara and Porter introduced platform switching, showing that shifting the implant abutment junction away from the crestal bone helps preserve it. Studies, including Caricasulo et al., report reduced marginal bone loss with internal connections compared to external designs. Nozawa and Enomoto analyzed peri-implant soft tissue dimensions, while Spray et al. And Grunder linked facial bone thickness to crestal bone changes. Together, these findings show that crestal bone stability is not simply time-dependent, but influenced by microgap position, the inflammatory zone, and peri-implant tissue conditions. To address the microgap, various angulated connection designs have been developed, including Straumann's 15-degree, Nobel's 12-degree, and MegaGen's 5-degree connections. Among them, MegaGen's internal type implant has been reported to effectively reduce the microgap by inducing localized cold welding at the connection interface without the application of heat. Crestal bone stability is now within our control. Implant success can be redefined as maintaining peri-implant tissues without bone loss, guided by biology, realized through clinical application. The concept of biologic width, established through animal studies by Berglund and Lindy, was later expanded into clinical application. In 2009 and 2015, Tomas Linkevicius and colleagues, through a human clinical study involving 97 patients, demonstrated that peri-implant soft tissue thickness has a significant influence on crestal bone stability. When soft tissue thickness is 2 millimeters or less, crestal bone loss tends to increase during biologic width formation, whereas sufficient thickness supports more stable bone maintenance. This suggests that crestal bone changes are not merely a bone response, but the result of biological remodeling required to establish biologic width. Even when thin soft tissue is augmented, bone stability can approach that of naturally thick tissue, indicating that implant design alone cannot fully control these changes. Therefore, crestal bone stability is not determined by bone characteristics or implant design, but is governed by peri-implant soft tissue conditions. These concepts were further systematized in Zero Bone Loss Concepts, published by Quintessence Publishing, where treatment strategies based on vertical soft tissue dimension were emphasized beyond a simple threshold approach. In particular, soft tissue thickness of 2 millimeters or less is considered directly associated with an increased risk of crestal bone loss, and to prevent this, securing at least 3 millimeters and clinically 4 millimeters or more of vertical soft tissue dimension allows for more predictable bone stability. This dimension represents not only tissue thickness, but the entire peri-implant tissue complex, including biologic width. Accordingly, implant position and depth should be determined based on this dimension. Implant treatment is therefore redefined as a soft tissue-driven strategy. When vertical soft tissue is insufficient, bone remodeling is inevitable during biologic width formation, making soft tissue augmentation an essential rather than optional approach. Ultimately, crestal bone stability should be understood as a controllable biologic outcome, governed by peri-implant soft tissue conditions. In summary, crestal bone loss can be understood as a controllable biologic change influenced by connection design, including platform switching, microgap position, connection interface sealing, and peri-implant soft tissue conditions, occurring during the establishment of biologic width. While earlier success criteria focused on defining acceptable bone loss, implant success today can be redefined as the stable maintenance of peri-implant tissues without bone loss. Under these conditions, crestal bone may not only be preserved, but can remain at a more coronal level, or in some cases demonstrate bone overgrowth without resorption. Implant success equals zero crestal bone loss. This is not a replacement of previous criteria, but the next clinical objective, built upon the biological principles they established.